All right. Sorry for getting a little past when I had it scheduled. Ended up having to take my boy to the dentist. He had some toothaches and had to get some dental work done, so I was busy getting him all taken care of. So I'm on several hours later than I would normally have been on, getting him all squared away. Oh, excuse me. Alright, I'm switching between scenes, trying to make sure I've got something set up properly here. Let's do a way to do a training match of some sort so I can test some things. Oh yeah, I guess I could do like the intro King Puff challenge.
It's Minion Masters! Let's go! When the battlefield calls, I answer.
Oh, you little bastard. Let's put this over here because we are always on the left in this game.
Blue unlocked the first perk.
This is just a test battle against the NPCs, so and then the game started taking over from him. It's like, hey dumbass, you gotta play? Let's actually move this over here. I'll put this right here.
Level up.
I'm gonna have to make a copy of this layout separately for each game. Put shit where it belongs per game. Wow, I was literally like AFK 95% of that. Not wipe keyboard, but like not focusing on the game. Alright, let's get the old Discarini.
Hello.
Is this thing on?
It's on.
Oh, let's get it on.
I've been watching. Honestly, I can't think of an interview that's been a bigger shit show than the one I'm watching now. I don't. one of them I definitely don't like. The other one, I'm not sure of exactly what's true about what he says because of just how the media is. Piers Morgan, which I completely dislike, and I know that because I've followed him for a while. But the other guy, yeah, the other guy's Andrew Tate, which he says. I know he says a lot of shit that is true, but he does say some misogynistic things. I'm not sure if it's misconstrued or what, because I don't look into it that much. But this fucking podcast or this interview is horrible. It's an hour long, and have you heard about his claims on Sandy Hook, Alex Jones?
I vaguely in like meme form. I've come across it as like kind of people like just like I said, making memes or jokes about everything because it's like back when he was like not crazy, there actually was legitimately a lot of like makes sense things that Alex Jones said, and there was a lot of crazy shit too. But pretty much anymore, it's pretty much just all crazy shit because he's just like gone off the deep end, and it seems like I don't follow him like super closely, so I may not understand it exactly right or something like that, but
I don't dislike Alex Jones. He does say a lot of crazy shit, but I think that he's got good intentions. I think that he's got a good heart, but he's saying just because he was on his fucking podcast, like there was nothing in between. He just segued from this to that because he's on his podcast that he supports Sandy Hook, and because like that's just like an example. This whole thing has been a fucking shit show. There's been points to where Piers Morgan's been a complete fucking idiot, and Andrew Tate, both of them. But my God, I think Piers Morgan's taking the cake on this one.
That's what's funny. That's what I'm saying. Like that's what's crazy is like the political landscape has become so crazy that at a baseline, before any of the like the stuff in recent years, before you take any of that into consideration, I thought just basically as a baseline that Bill Maher was kind of a moron. But lately he's been like actually making good points, and like credit to him. And it's not even that I disagree or agree. That's not what makes me personally feel like somebody's an idiot or not. Because I'm, unless you're just naive or whatever, you can't actually think you're going to agree with everybody. And so I don't even kind of think that. What for me, it's whether they can be honest with themselves, because I can still like have a good productive conversation with somebody that I disagree with if they're just being honest. And it's like, yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and I can understand why you might think that. And given a different circumstance in life or a different like experience that I've had growing up or whatever, given some variables, maybe I would even agree with you. So I can understand from a logical perspective where you're coming from, and I can understand your point of view, even though I don't agree with it. And so when people can do that, they can have a actually really productive conversation. And lately, Bill Maher has kind of been that way. I kind of give props for at least some of the stuff. I don't watch him regularly, and I've only seen snippets, so maybe I'm just seeing a more idealistic subset of clips and subjects. But he's another one. Piers Morgan has been another one that by default, like in general, is kind of a moron. But lately, he's not been entirely off, and I had no idea. I didn't follow him before, during, or after his whole whatever recent controversy with Andrew Tate, but I saw some clips of him, and one thing I thought, like every time I saw a clip of him, again, whether I agreed with him or not, dude is fucking articulate and really smart, and most of what he says, it genuinely isn't a matter of opinion and like
agree or not. It's like some of the shit he says is right, whether it's offensive and you agree with it and you're happy with that, the reality of that situation or not. And other stuff he's just kind of talking out his ass. And I love that he's just unapologetic. Again, like, even if I had disagreed with 100% of the words he said in a 10-hour long podcast, I can give him props for being like just unapologetic. And it's, so he's huge for a reason. Like, he blew up quick for a reason. He comes out and he's like, just says shit how it is, and he's not afraid of offending people, which is so fucking refreshing in today's day and age. God damn, it's like, even if somebody, even if I completely disagree with him, I want to actually like hear honestly what people say. I don't want them to hold back. I'm not gonna play that bullshit little politically correct game. I want to know this conversation.
Right. That's why I like Joe Rogan so much. His podcasts
not afraid to say it as it is.
He'll say whatever he wants or whatever he thinks is right. The big thing is it's a completely uncut podcast. It's not like, people can always can chop things up and make it look another way, but he releases the full fucking thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. Joe Rogan, I think he gets so much like unnecessary flack just for
yet again most of his haters.
Ridiculous.
Yep. Yet again, most of his haters are people who just have thin skin, because even people who don't agree with him but are capable of appreciating that he's just upfront, honest, open, like transparent, like just genuine.
Yeah.
Even people who don't agree with him, like, give him props for that. And him, like pretty much anyone, I don't agree or disagree with everything he says patently either way. It's like, you take it for what it's worth individually, topic by topic, even point by point within a topic, so it's like, God, gone are the good old days. And I got a small taste of it right before it's a slow process, but it kind of in some ways still accomplishes the same effect as if it were immediate, even when it takes some time over years. If it's a relatively like few number of years, when things like that change and adjust, and but there was like, I was in debate in high school, and it was such a good positive eye opener to be able to have conversations with people who you disagree with, because of regular exercises you'd spend we had 1.5-hour classes at the time, because they swapped from they did A day and B days, and so we'd spend the first hour. Well, you'd spend the first 20 minutes figuring out what topic, and then so you'd spend the other 40 minutes on your position on that topic. Whichever one you just pick a position, whichever side you felt like you agreed with, and then somebody else would have to debate the opposing argument, and then the last half an hour you'd switch. And so and she, the first couple times that she had us do that, it caught us off guard, so it really forced you to try to put aside your biases, because if you want you struggled mentally with this, do I want to win the debate, or do I want to stick to what I do I want to try to make myself feel good by finding things that affirm my confirmation bias. And so it gave you a good solid understanding of how to make sure you're not just thinking or believing or repeating something solely because of confirmation bias, and it actually gave you an opportunity to think outside the box and understand all sides of the position, whether you agreed with it personally or not. And so it was the perfect setup for me, because it was right before I actually got into actual politics and was able to start having actual conversations with people when I became an adult and could vote. So all that shit was soon on the horizon for me, as far as things I'd have to consider moving forward in life. And then and then the whole world just went fucking upside down with political correctness and whiny fucking babies, in every aspect of every conversation that you have. It was just come on, guys, like, grow up. We're adults. The world's not perfect. Give it 5 years, and you know, the science will have more information. So even, you know, people get like hell bent on being like, oh, you know, I believe X because, you know, I believe in the science. It's like, well, that is a good like concept, but where you're misunderstanding, where you're misconstruing, is you need to believe in the scientific process, not the science, because the science itself changes because of the scientific process. I mean, just look at the last 10 years. How many things we thought 10 years ago were a thing in science that we're realizing we were wrong about now? And that's because the scientific process of analyzing and thinking logically and objectively and proving things, you know, you got to find proof for things and disprove things. And, you know, it's a whole long process. And that takes hard, uncomfortable conversations. And when people just get butthurt about something that hurts their feelings or threatens their little, you know, fanciful view of the world, then they're not helping themselves or anyone. They're not being productive to anyone, at least all themselves. Anyway, stepping down off my soapbox. I'm not passionate about this at all. You don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are married to their beliefs and dig their heels in the ground, whether it's through the passion or it's some personal thing that's happened in their life that they
Right.
are sensitive. But I don't think that you win a debate by making the other person look stupid or
Right.
by shitting on them. I think that the only way to win a debate is to find common ground and try to get the other person to see your point of view. Because once personal insults and this and that get involved, it's over. It's not a debate anymore.
Gotta be a master debater.
Yeah, and something I've worked on a lot. I'm still working on, and I think a lot of it has come from watching Joe Rogan for so fucking long. Is people don't listen. They don't listen to what the other person has to say. They sit there and they think about their point and what they want to say. But you can't have a good response to someone if you don't listen to what they say, and if you're just constantly sitting there trying to think of what you want to say. Which it gets me sometimes because I listen too much and I completely forget what the fuck I was gonna say. But yeah, it's better than the alternative. But
Yeah.
I think that Joe Rogan he does such a good job of letting the other person get their point through and then coming back and having a counterpoint and actually having a conversation. Because there's not many people that do podcasts or interviews that are like that. They'll just kind of jump on the person and not let them speak or whatever it may be.
Right. Yeah. Well, one of my favorite like interview panel discussion, whatever you want to call it, was where, and you know, it's not like super old, but relatively speaking, it's a few years old at least now. It had Steven Crowder, Milo Yiannopoulos, I can't remember the girl's name her YouTube channel is The Factual Feminist.
I've heard of that channel.
And then I think there's one more. And, you know, I mean, there's a million subsections of discussion that can be had within like feminism itself. But at the end of the day, one of the things that like everyone who is not in the like echo chamber of like feminism knows is that most people's idea of it or understanding of it is technically inaccurate, and not because they're ignorant or they're not like smart or anything, but she makes two good points, and it's funny because at least one of them I had made years before that multiple times to people who I'd talked with. I was like, part of the reason people get like they develop an immediate opinion on feminism in their minds purely because of the term feminism. You think for women, you know, and not necessarily inherently, but almost by extension against men. You know what I mean? And so people think like it becomes almost immediately synonymous. Feminism, man hating. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
at its core,
Yeah.
what it began as, when it was like an actual legitimate thing, it wasn't. You know, they in hindsight they should have picked a better name, because it was a little misleading or confusing, or at least not descriptive to what it actually was setting out to and like intending to do. You know, but that aside, at its core, it genuinely was like a good thing. And she points out how she's like, you know, it's bad for everyone, and ironically, especially for feminism as a movement, that this current third wave, or even now fourth wave, I don't know how they determine what wave it is, but you know, third and fourth wave feminism is like not just as a meme, but it is legitimately cancerous in the way that they refer to computer viruses. It's not an actual virus, but they use it to describe the way that it acts within that virtual environment. You know, current feminism genuinely is a cancerous thing. It somehow finds its way, whether intentionally or unintentionally, or some combination of those, or you know, even other factors. It ends up attaching itself to topics and subjects and becomes something else entirely, and it gets off the point. And she gives a lot of good examples. And you know, she's totally a great channel worth watching, because she does a great job of being like, here, you know, here's what I believe, here's what I think. That's just me, you know. Whereas a lot of people are like, you know, they get just hell-bent, and they're not like willing to recognize the fact that like 99% of what they think and say is opinion, because you're influenced by so many things. Even being consciously aware of the fact that we're naturally biased as humans, even being aware of that fact, it still does virtually nothing to avoid it entirely. Like,
Oh yeah,
like, you know,
everyone's a little bit biased to a degree.
In an ironic way, being aware of it can, you know, even kind of make you more like hyper aware of it, almost like a, you know, like this, you know, a little hair sticking out of place, like, and then as soon as you're aware of it, then it's like all you can think about or see, type of deal, you know. Whereas in and of itself, it was barely noticeable. You know, but it was funny because on that show, like they laugh and they joke around and they throw shade at each other, and they couldn't have been like more differing in a large number of ways. Like, the one common thing that brought them all together, and the reason why they were like had fun up on stage, and they actually did a great job like co-hosting this panel for like questions and stuff, was because at all else aside, they all understood that it requires discussion, it requires mature and like reasoning discussion, whether you agree with it or not. And you know, because they all understood that, they had a great panel. And even though they would, like I said, they'd rib on each other bad, the whole panel, like Steven Crowder's the pretty much as stereotypical for like Christian conservatives that you can get. Milo Yiannopoulos was more of like the stereotypical like Republican, but his like twist, I guess, was that he's like blatantly, like openly, like almost like it's part of his like promotional material, the fact that he's gay. Like, so it's not just like, yeah, I'm gay, it's like, I'm gay, like every chance he gets, like, you know what I mean, like it's part of his thing, you know. And so he uses it, and you know, he takes it and runs with it, type of deal. And then what's her face, I can't remember her name, you know, like I said, she was like pretty much the stereotypical, not in a bad way, but like if you were to look at like just a list of bullet points, she'd fit right in with like liberal Democrat, not necessarily liberal, but definitely Democrat, and like feminist. And then there was somebody else, I could be wrong, there might have only been 3, but I think there was 4 people on that panel. Can't remember if there was a 4th, who it was, you know. But so like they couldn't have been more different in significant ways, in a lot of significant ways, but they still got along well, because they were like, yeah, you know, I mean, we can get along while disagreeing. Like, and it was funny because like even like somebody'd come up and ask some sort of like um, like not I don't want to say trick question, but for lack of a better way to put it, somebody would ask the panel some question that was meant to be like baiting, and they
Gotcha
would even
question.
kind of like that, yeah, kind of a gotcha question, and even the one who like wouldn't normally have been the one to defend the point, they would like defend each other in that way. They're like, hey, like even though like I'm probably going to disagree with every word of his answer when he answers your question, that's a bullshit question because you're not actually like asking to learn. You're just asking to screen cap this later and take it out of context. And he's like, I'm fucking onto you. I think Steven Crowder did that a few times when somebody else was asked a question, and he would point that out. It was pretty funny.
Steven, he's very good at debating, and a lot of people don't take him seriously. Same with Joe Rogan because they're comedians. But I think I've said this before. I think most comedians are above average intelligence with how quick they are, how witty they are. But a lot
Yeah,
of
they
people
gotta
don't take
be.
them seriously just because they're fucking comedians. And Steven Crowder, he's he may show up to debate a certain topic, but he prepares extremely well for it, and he's generally pretty respectful. Like only time he ever gets disrespectful is if he's disrespected.
Yep.
And even then, a lot of times he doesn't even go there.
He won't jump right into it. He'll give him about a dozen times of unanswered disrespect before he starts giving them a taste of their own medicine. And it's great because when he does, he gives it back tenfold.
Oh man,
it's great.
kills it.
I love his Change My Mind series. Like there's so many good ones. Because
He
like
does
again,
those
you don't even
super
have to
college campuses.
as a viewer, you don't even have to agree with what he's saying to still like see that he's in the right in the sense of his approach. Even if you disagree with him on the topic, he's unless you're lying to yourself or just ignorant, people, anybody watching is going to recognize the fact that he's correct in his approach and in his strategy, I guess, because that's how you have to have debates. Is he'll oftentimes be like, okay, well, let's make sure we understand like definitions, so we're not arguing the same thing with different words or a different thing with the same word. He's like, let's define this, and that for at least for the sake of the conversation, we'll stick to those definitions, or we'll stick to this, that, or the other presupposition, or this, that, or the other equivalency. And so he's like, because what a lot of times people will try to do, whether they even realize it or not, is they'll try to in their own mind, a point that's not actually made or defended, to them, they consider defeated by something completely irrelevant or off topic or like evasive even. And so, he'll call him every fucking time out. He'll call him out on it every time. He'll be like, no, that's not actually, that's evading the question. That's avoiding answering. He's like, if we're going to define this, if we're going to define that, then that's what we're going to talk about, and we're going to set that straight and set it aside and move to the next point. You know what I mean? Like, whereas so many people just, again, whether consciously and intentionally or just without realizing it, will just run circles around, points in a conversation just because to them they think it's like winning. They think they're like doing something. It's like.
Yeah. It's all they prioritize winning over finding common ground. I actually had one of the best conversations I've ever had recently with one of my buddies, and we differ. We're on opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to almost anything political. I consider myself, I'm pretty conservative, but on social issues I'm pretty far left. So maybe I'm more moderate. I don't know, but this conversation was like 2-3 hours long, but one of the things that we were talking about was the minimum wage, $15 an hour. He believed that minimum wage should be $15 an hour across the entire United States. I completely disagreed with that, and we ended up finding common ground where we both agreed that neither of those things are correct, and it should be based on the cost of living. So in states like, hell, it could be even higher than $15 an hour. $15 an hour in certain states like California, New York, certain places. But then other places like West Virginia and lower cost of living areas, I don't think they should get $15 an hour. And we came to that conclusion, which is just kind of refreshing to be able to end the debate with both parties feeling good and satisfied, which is how, which is the only way to have a successful debate, I think.
Yeah, you know, and it's unfortunately pretty rare, but yeah, even when you walk away from the conversation without having found common ground or you know, even agreed on anything, even just you can, yeah, you can, if you don't, if they're not mistreating you or belittling you for the way you feel, and they, if you can feel like they genuinely tried to understand your perspective, you know, even if they still didn't agree with it, and you know, hopefully they feel that you did the same, then you can still like have a good conversation with somebody. You know, and a lot of times what works really well, and I did this, you know, for a long time without realizing I was doing it. And then when I heard somebody on a show, it might have even been like Steven Crowder or the Factual Feminist or somebody like that I was watching a bunch at the time. I heard one of them mention something about it, and it was like putting to words something that I understood but couldn't describe. And so ever since then, I have actively tried to continue to do it, because you know, I realized that I had been doing it, and that is to make sure that a lot of times what you can clarify right off the bat that will set so many like defenses aside on both sides of a conversation will be to say like, hey, like, you know, here's what I'm getting at. Like, we might not agree on the means, but like I feel like there's a pretty good chance we agree on the end. And for me, you know, just using what you just said as an example with like the minimum wage, like even if I was talking with somebody and we disagreed on like the exact methodology of how to go about it, if you know, I started talking with them, I was like, well, can we at least start off the conversation by saying that yes, we definitely do both agree that the work involved today in order to live in a basic sense, like food on the table, reliable vehicle, a house, you know, that instead of solely renting, but like actually like a house that you can work toward owning in the form of a mortgage, like all those things are significantly like multiple times harder now than they were 50 years ago. Like, I can't remember what it was, the numbers exactly, but somebody did the math and they pointed out, they're like, yes, and we even adjusted for inflation, and it was like somebody could have all these things on what was then the minimum wage, which even adjusted for inflation, the minimum wage now is less than what the minimum wage was then, proportionately speaking. And so they're like, you know, if we scale that up because of inflation, they were making higher than minimum wage. And so because at the time their minimum wage compared to their cost of living, somebody, I think it was like on like a $2 or $4 an hour salary or something like that, with just a normal 40-hour work week, no outrageous amounts of overtime, they could have a really nice house and like at least one, if not multiple cars, and like plenty of money to like spend on like vacation related things. And it's like, now you gotta have 2 jobs just to live in a shitty fucking apartment and scrape by with a garbage ass car that might break down on you any minute. And so, you know, starting off a conversation with somebody being like, you know, even if we disagree on exactly the details of X, Y, or Z, whatever they may be, you know, we can at least agree that we both think this is, you know, not okay. And one of the more like touchy ones that I actually had a good conversation with somebody recently, even though we completely disagreed, was like with abortion stuff. It's like, all else aside, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we can start off by saying we both agree that nobody wants to just be killing babies willy-nilly, and nobody wants their bodies to be controlled. Like, that's not what, the far right tries to paint the far left as just trying to murder babies. That's all they want to do. They wake up every morning thinking of a new creative, fun way to murder an innocent baby. And it's like, that's a little ridiculous and not accurate. And then the far left thinks that the far right is just trying to control everyone's body and tell them what to do, and that's equally ridiculous and not accurate. And so it was like, I think if we start off knowing that both of us agree that, like, everyone, men, women, children at appropriate ages, like, I personally disagree with, like, sex change related things for kids. Like, let them be an adult. Just let them grow up and make their own decisions. If they turn 18 and they want to do that, then that's their choice. That's their prerogative.
I think.
But you have to, like, limit that when they're kids, because shit, how many fucking kids will grow up and regret decisions that their parents let them make at 12 years old?
Yeah, I believe in supporting however they feel, but I think any parent that allows their kid to get a sex change before the age of 18 should not be a parent. There's
right.
Like,
well, because changing how you or like, supporting how they feel is one thing, and like that can be changed. And if they change their mind, then you can support them in that and be like, hey, like, I know you felt this way before, you feel this way now. I support you either way. But yeah, those permanent changes are undoable.
Yeah, it's permanent, and
yep.
If you look at the suicide rates of transgender people, which I'm sure that plays into it, people getting sex changes way too early, the suicide rates of transgender people is around 40%.
It's gone up since they started allowing them to change too early. There's so many people who get older and they're like, I regret it. There's a lot who don't, but the ones who made the decision too hastily, a vast majority of them regret it. The ones who take time to make that decision usually don't.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of transgender people don't ever get that done, and like 40% suicide rates. That is an absurd number. I mean, if you look at any demographic, whether it's based on race, their sexual preference, whatever it is, 40% is higher than almost any demographic for suicide rates. And I think that's a problem. I'm not saying transgender people are a problem, but the mental health that goes
I get what
into
you're saying.
Could be just because, like, if it was lower than 40%, it was like a whatever number, like, it's still bad, but 40%, that's overwhelming. That's
at the end of the day, one thing I always point out anytime the conversation comes up, either between me and someone else, or I'm just like a outside observer looking in, I point out the fact that it's like, you will have the far left and the far right, quote unquote. That's not necessarily a left, like, politically, or right politically. And pause. The irony is that left and right are completely different in other countries. So, sometimes people don't realize. Like, you hear somebody say, "Oh yeah, I lean to the left." I think in Europe that would mean basically like a conservative, like a right, the right side of the aisle person. In America, and I may be wrong. It may not be Europe, but I know there are places that are basically kind of switched from us. And so purely like what Crowder does is important in situations like that, because he's like, hold on, let's get our words and definitions straight so we're not arguing the same thing with different terms, or vice versa. So anyway, unpause on that. That's one thing too, is like, you'll get people who will come in from all sorts of different angles, and their bias is showing hard. But people who are able to look at it objectively, both in I think a unilateral thing that most people who are like trying to be logical and objective can agree that they have some struggles mentally that need help with, not
when you say help too, when you say like with the 40% suicide rates, like a lot of them need help. Whenever you say that in today's day and age, they take it as a negative thing.
Yep, exactly what
It's
I was
like,
about to say. My friend even who pointed that out when he was like, even just like suicide and anxiety and stuff like that and depression, even that, it's like, I need to not be belittled when I come out and say I need help with this. I need actual fucking help, because all it does when people react the way they do is make you shut down and be like, well, that was worthless. I should have just kept it to myself. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but.
oh no, you're good. And then like going into any political conversation with like a normal person like you and I. Now, if it's political figure, it might be different because they might be fueled by personal agenda. But something
Yeah.
I keep in mind when I'm debating anyone like that, or not a politician, but someone like just you, is at the end of the day, they are so buried in their beliefs about something just is because they care, they're passionate about something. At the end of the day, something that we both want is we want the best for everybody, and that's why they're so passionate about something. So that's something I try to keep in mind when someone gets a little
That's
too passionate about something, and I'll even
yeah.
bring it up sometimes, be like, look, we disagree on this, but like at the end of the day, we both want what's best for everybody, and that's why we're so passionate about whatever subject it may be.
That's why one of the most dangerous things going on right now, and it's not a necessarily new thing. It's been happening for a while, but it's just a continually rising thing. One of the most dangerous things is the redefining of terms and definitions, because it helps no one. Like, to look at something and actually like use the proper term for it, like transgender. It's gender dysphoria. Dysphoria meaning like I'm not a medical professional, so I know from when I was in EMT, there is actually a breakdown of each like separate thing in a medical term that tells you what it is by its own, like the word itself describes what it is. And I know that the term dysphoria, the point that it's making is that they're not they're not whole. They don't.
Sorry, I missed it.
Gender dysphoria. That's the medical term for it, and they're trying to like paint a negative spin on it, and and or change the term or whatever. But at the end of the day, like people who are like the doctors and the psychiatrists who are actually trying to legitimately help these people, they're the ones who are hindered in their ability to help them by the by society and politics trying to change terms or do away with terms. It's like, no, you need that for the purposes of keeping things straight. It's like why it's so dangerous when they're trying to say a transgender woman is just a woman. It's like, no, there actually is a physical difference. If in a medical emergency you treat somebody as a female when they're biologically a male, you will murder them. They will die if you don't do certain things differently. So it's like, even if like socially and like personally and all that stuff, you want to think that like there's zero difference, there is a difference. And then yet they'll turn around and say that like they'll say something contradictory, like I can't even think of an example, but it's just funny when it comes up and they'll be like, there's no difference between men and women, but then they'll say something that like clearly defines a difference. Like they'll be like, women are strong. It's like, oh well, do you just mean people are strong, right? It's like, no, like stand behind women, support women. It's like, well, if there's no difference, then they're all just people. They're all just humans. And it's a bit of poking at them, to be fair and just being honest. But at the same time, it helps them understand, hopefully, that what they're doing is not productive to anyone involved. Like you cannot just redefine terms and change things. Like you can still completely like support somebody's decision, even completely disagreeing with it, or you can be there for them as like a person who cares about them, even if you disagree with what they're doing. But as soon as you start trying to like change terms and like redefine things, you are harming those people. Another example that the factual feminist gives was with the whole like Me Too movement. It's like you can not say believe all women, because it only takes one to be somebody with ill intent, nefarious intentions, and it will undermine every single one of the remaining legitimate cases. Like the second one girl comes out and falsely accuses, I mean, look what Amber Heard has caused the whole situation, and not that she was completely in the wrong, and not that Johnny Depp was completely in the right, but if you boil it down and you take away anything, like in math, you take away equivalencies and you boil it down to what's left, what's remaining. So if you take away all the 1-for-1s and equivalencies and all that, and you take what's left, she was wrong and he was right in that basic, oversimplification of saying things. And what she did, because it was such a high profile publicized thing, is harmed all of the other ones who are legitimate cases. So every single time somebody who comes out and takes and tries to blow something out of proportion, it just screws over all the rest.
She's hurt women more than almost any other woman, I feel like, when it comes to that. Because I mean, there was definitely abuse that took place on both sides. But when it comes to the physical abuse side of things, I don't think that I think that was Amber Heard, not Johnny Depp. There was definitely mental abuse on both sides. But just to recap, the gender dysphoria thing, were you saying that's a legitimate term or a negative one?
That one is actually the legitimate medical definition, but they look at it in a negative light. Like they try to paint it like it's how they take I'm trying to think of an example. It's like how they have tried to take and make it seem like being masculine is a bad thing. Like they, people equate masculinity and toxic masculinity, where they are different things. Like there is feminism and toxic feminism. Like they are different, and people try to put everything in a little box to, again, whether they're doing it on purpose or not, even if unintentional, they put things in boxes and oversimplify, and that will. The only reason I don't say it will always cause more harm than good is because I don't know everything. I am not omnipotent. But, excluding that possibility that there is something I'm missing, you can effectively say it will do more harm than good in every situation, because I can't think of a situation where it hasn't done more harm than good, either in the long run, if not the immediate short term as well, and overall. So that's the thing. That's another thing that bothers me personally, is when people are racist, but if they're a black person, they're given a pass essentially. And to their credit, there's a 1,000 black people who call bullshit for every one that tries to make that claim. It's like, oh, you can't be racist if you're black. It's like, yeah, you sure fucking can. Look at the definition of racism, and it's like, you're not helping anybody. You are hurting yourselves. If you genuinely, let's give you the benefit of the doubt and assume you are actually a victim of racism, and or genuinely, if you're being honest, and let's give you the benefit of the doubt and say you're genuine in your opposition to racism. If that's true, then you are hurting yourself by saying that anyone can't be racist for any reason, like any broad definition. It's like that, literally that very claim, could it fall under the definition of racism? It's like everyone can be, and there are a lot of people who are, and you hurt everyone who's a victim of it by claiming that nonsense. And like I said, to their credit, for every one person that says that, there's 1,000 people who disagree with it. Not necessarily vocal. It's always the loud, squeaky wheel that gets the grease, as the term goes. Like the loud vocal minority, they get all the attention. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of people who oppose it.
The reason I brought up the gender dysphoria thing again is because Chris and I were watching this Ben Shapiro interview, and gender dysphoria. I didn't say a word, but gender dysphoria was brought up, and Chris, he's one of those people that believe it's got a negative connotation to it. He hates that term, but I think it's important because it is a medical thing. And going back to the suicide rates, some of them need help. Doesn't mean that they're a bad person or they're wrong for thinking the way they do. They can't help that, but people think that that's just automatically is a bad thing, like they're wrong.
Right.
But that's not what gender dysphoria means. I think by definition it just means that they're confused or dissatisfied with the body that they were born in or whatever, and a lot of times it leads to extreme depression and anxiety.
Yep.
And that needs to be addressed, and the only way that's going to be addressed is by not acting like it's all hunky-dory and everything's okay. Like, gender dysphoria is a real thing. It's a medical term, and it doesn't have a negative connotation to it like everyone thinks.
Yeah, I mean, it's this is just quick Google search, and there's more than one dictionary. But just as one example taken with a grain of salt, one result that comes up, it just says gender dysphoria is a term that describes a sense of unease that a person has because of a mismatch between their biological sex and their gender identity. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, that's literally the purpose of it, is just describing it. And that is exactly, like, they're unhappy because they feel like they're different than what they were biologically born as. And that only serves to help people understand. Like, if you could take people and shut the part of their brain off that gets emotional and reactive, and just leave on the logical, objective side of their brain, and look at the probably 24 huge, quote unquote, huge issues, like socio-economical, political, whatever, and you just give them like straightforward definitions of everything, like, even on like kind of the other side of things, where like feminism is traditionally perceived as like a more like left-leaning thing, but people on the right can look at the actual like foundation of what feminism was, and if they're, again, being logical and objective, they can realize, okay, it actually did, it's unfortunately evolved into something not so good, but at its core, what it started as was a genuinely good, helpful thing. And to use the proper term, gender dysphoria is a good, helpful thing, because it can only help people understand what it is.
Exactly. And by ignoring that term, you're, I don't know if disrespecting is the word, but you're all those people killing themselves. That's not going to get any better if we ignore gender dysphoria. It's not. Yep. It's going to get worse.
Well, like I said,
there's so many. There's so many like illegitimate feminists. You said this. They're more for advancing women's rights over men's. It's like
they're not out for equality. They're trying to get ahead.
At the base of feminism, it's all about equality. That's all it is. It's not about getting ahead. It's about equality. And just turn into a toxic thing.
Right. One thing I mentioned before, and I forgot to like actually kind of like come back around to it to explain it, but the thing that she said that I had thought and said years before I heard her say it, so when she said it, it was like, yes, fucking yes, thank you, was when she was like, this isn't really something that, this isn't like we should do this, because it's not the kind of thing, like, you can't go back in time and change things, and you can't really effectively go forward effectively and change things necessarily, but for as for reference, as food for thought, he's like, hindsight being what it is, they probably should have picked a better word. Should have called it like equalism or like something else. They should give another good example that was like, it doesn't give people the immediate sense, like just by the word itself, feminism gives people who don't necessarily know what it actually is or what it actually started as, I should say. It gives them the idea that it's women over men, man hating, and again, unfortunately, it has become that way in large part with the current generation of it. But when it started, it wasn't. It was literally them just being like, hey, we want these things. And she herself even points out things that are not something you hear a person who says who self-identifies as a feminist, and she's right. But you don't ever hear somebody who self-identifies as a feminist say it. And she was like, a lot of, the issues when they started had some legitimate good points in opposition for it, and there are always those people who oppose it just because they're trying to be an asshole, but the people who are genuinely opposing it for the logical, objective, right reasons, they had good points. And some of those points were that the reason women weren't allowed to own property at the time was to protect them in ways that and she goes into the exact reasons for it, but at the time it subjected them to all sorts of things that they were protected from because they weren't allowed to own property. They were then almost in exchange given protections against various things, and another one was because they weren't allowed to vote, they were also not required to sign up for the draft. And from a purely societal protecting society perspective, that was a good thing because you send women off to die. That severely hampers the ability for a population to regrow. I mean, theoretically, one man could get 10 women pregnant in the same night. One woman can't get pregnant 10 times even in the same year. She can't have a baby unless she has multiple children in that delivery. So it's just from a math, logic, objectivity perspective, there's a lot of good reasons for the way things were, but people often get stuck in their habits and their patterns, and if something needs to change, people are naturally reluctant to it. And so that's kind of what the whole feminist movement started as, was helping people understand the reasons why it was a good thing to adjust and make changes and move forward in a different way than they had always done, because it wasn't as important then as it had been up to that point, for those protections and those things. Another really good modern day equivalency for the reason why it was separate then is the reason why now currently, like a current example, I should say, that's a good parity or equivalency, is the reason for separating sports. Biologically speaking, on average, a man is going to be faster and stronger than on average women are. Every time you see somebody go, there's so many clips, you can look them up easy, immediately, zero effort. You can find example after example after example after example of people who are at the top of their respective game in a women's sport being middle ground in the equivalent of a man's, and they'll go toe to toe. And there's been times where women have been severely injured because they were almost goaded by the woman into not holding back. She's like, don't be a pussy, don't let me win, don't go easy on me. And one of them that comes to mind was two examples similar. One was a martial arts competition, and one of them was boxing, and physically they kind of looked similar, about the same height and build, but you don't understand that muscle mass and bone density, even if all else is equal, muscle mass and bone density, those two factors means that you're going to hit faster and you're going to hit harder, and it's literally the laws of physics that govern how that resolves. You hit a harder object, or you hit a softer object with a harder one at a faster speed, it's going to impart more kinetic energy, more force. I mean, it's why a semi running into the back of a car can squish it down to the size of the fucking wheel well, versus two cars colliding and they just kind of smash each other's bumpers a fair bit. You know what I mean? Like, it is literally the laws of physics that govern the reason why mixing men and women's sports is a bad idea. And in some sports, it's fine. It's not a problem. There is a lot less. There's a lot smaller gap with respect to lower body strength and muscle mass, because women do have a lot more lower body strength proportionately. Like they're disproportionately way a lot weaker in terms of upper body strength on average, but they're a lot closer. Yep, they're a lot closer in lower body. So things that are more like, that aren't contact or like combat related, those wouldn't be as big of a problem. But when they're pushing to have like, I can't even think of an example, like wrestling, like in the Olympics. Like there was an article I was reading where they were like, yeah, let the women wrestle against the men. I have myself personally in high school wrestled against multiple girls, and I broke one girl's collarbone because I wrestled her just like I would a guy. And
Yep.
And I really was, I wish I hadn't. I wasn't trying to, but it happened. And the other girl I was going easy on, not because I was like thinking, it wasn't any amount of like disrespect or how they try to like construe it. They're like, oh, you look down, you belittle, you think less of. It's like, no, if anything, in an ironic way in an ironic answer to your claim, it's the opposite. It's because like I'm trying to be respectful and not harm anyone. It's like, do you wake up in the morning? Is it socially acceptable to wake up in the morning and want to hurt somebody? Most people would say the answer to that question is no. And so, you don't want to go into a sport intending to harm them. It's why, like in martial art competitions, you can actually get penalized for excessive use of force. It's like you're supposed to find that fine line between enough to defeat them, but not so much that it like severely like ends their career. And that's exactly what you would do if you mixed men and women's sports in most of the more popular sports. Is
Most
women would get injured.
Most women don't even want that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
it's the like half of 1/10 of a millionth of a percent. Like the squeaky fucking loud minority. The vast majority, don't want it. They're like, please no. I've worked so hard my whole life to compete at this level, and I can't squeeze any more out than I have already. And I'm middling at best compared to a man in the equivalent sport in their category. And it's just because men have a biological advantage, quote unquote, in that scenario.
You were
it's like,
you were in the military, right?
Yeah.
So this is something I hated that came from feminism. I don't know if it's toxic feminism or what, but either way, women in special forces. I believe that they should be able to join the special forces, but they reduced the standards of special forces. This is several years ago. They reduced the standards of special forces to be able to complete the training so that women could pass it. And that overall just weakens our military, our special forces.
Yep.
Like, I'm all for, if you want to sign up and try to be a SEAL or whatever under the old standards and you make it, great. That's awesome. But when they reduced the overall standards just so they could, just for the sake of feminism or equality, but it's just a negative thing.
Yep.
And
yeah, I was in when they started kind of pushing for that. I was in basic training actually when they actually made the change. I don't know what level in a broad scale it was, but I can speak from personal experience that at least at my level even in the training level of things, they started to talk about that kind of stuff, and that was pretty much. And it was everyone, not just like the men, but like even the female drill sergeants and the female engineers and mechanics. Like everybody who was a female in the army was like, hey, yeah, I'm all for it, but you better fucking make sure that they are held to the same standard as the guys, because I don't want somebody covering my back who can't fucking carry me out like I could carry them out if I go down. If they go down, I mean, you know, in an ironic way, in that sense, if a female special forces went down and the guy had to carry her out, you know, it'd be a lot easier than carrying another dude out, because again, less muscle and bone weight. But you know, that'd be pretty much the only benefit, if she wasn't like on the same level. But yeah, if she can be held to the same standard, then yeah, I agree. And that was something that was said. I mean, shit, I joined in 2014, and then it was being talked about. Even then, it was like, yeah, I don't think a single soul in the military is opposed to it, as long as the standards are the same. Fucking, I mean, that makes sense. They can do it. Let them do it.
There was Joe Rogan had this comedy bit, and the thing I like about a lot of Joe Rogan's comedy is it's seated in truth. And there was this female, what was she? She was some type of security guard or something at the White House. Okay. And there was this crazy dude that ran in, and I don't think the guy expected to get as far as he did, because he had a car full of guns, and all he brought was a knife. I think he was just expecting to get gunned down. Well, he runs up, he gets to the door, that girl's there. He just fucking yeets her to the side and goes and he gets in the White House. He's in there for like 10, 15 minutes. And he's talking about, he's like, you know, not even, most guys aren't even qualified for that job. Like, yeah. He's like, when there's people like Shaquille O'Neal out there and my fucking face is next to their dick when I'm standing up, I shouldn't be doing that job.
Like, right. Yep, pretty much.
Have you heard of Fallon Fox?
I think I've heard the name a few times. Isn't that a biological male competing in female sports?
MMA. Yeah.
Oh, mixed martial art. Gotcha.
Yeah. Fallon Fox went on a fucking rampage, as you can imagine. If you want to look at the screen real quick, this is just a 20-second clip. This is a great example. But this Fallon Fox beat the opponent in 39 seconds, broke her fucking skull. It's not.
Yeah, no, you're good. Go ahead. I'm watching. I love how and I struggle because the way I approach things is on a personal level. Like, let's say hypothetically you were someone who identified as a female, as a biological male, and you requested to be called she, her, by a different name, whatever, all of that. Like, I got absolutely zero problem with that on a personal level, because like between you and I, like I got nothing against you. I'm on your side in the sense that we're all struggling in this fucking shitty garbage pile of shit we call life, and we don't need to be at each other's throats in the process to add insult to injury and extra difficulty to the mix that is life. But on like a kind of a broad scale or whatever, I use technical terms for a reason, and I also appreciate comedy that doesn't hold back. And so South Park, for example, is one that I really like, how they kind of talked about that in one of their episodes, where they showed like the character in the show, Strong Woman, and the like WWE like wrestler dude who is claiming to identify as a female, and they're clearly intending in that episode to portray it as like a man who's purely trying to take advantage of the like system, if as it were. And I love how it illustrates that even if that's only like 10% of the ones who are doing it, even that is enough to be concerning. It's like, okay, and an example that I remember somebody given for some other topic, but it applies here, is let's say 1 million people want to come into the US, and we know for a fact that 10% of them are terrorists who intend to kill US citizens. If we have a surefire way to weed those 10% out, then yeah, weed those 10% out, let the other 90% in. But if there's not a guarantee, the unfortunate nature of the fact that because we're not perfect as humans, we don't have a perfect solution, the lesser of all evils, or the best of the best option out of a pile of shitty options is to prevent them all from coming, so that way those 10% don't kill a huge number of citizens who the government's job is, by definition, to protect the citizens. And so, the example that they gave for that is like, even if 90% of them are legitimate, that's the hard part about this whole thing, is that if you start mixing the sports, and the 10% who are just doing it purely for the advantage that it gives them, all you're doing is hurting the disproportionately larger number of women who are going to be victims to that situation.
Oh yeah.
Like that girl who Fallon Fox broke the skull of. It's like, honestly, it's another thing that kind of gets a negative connotation, but seriously, don't let the like politicized, politically correct bullshit get in the way. That honestly, until we're more advanced as a society, the best solution for all that kind of stuff really is to just set aside like a third place, because there really is like 90. I think it's like 4%. It's a very small number of the population are like encompass. In fact, I'm gonna look it up because I don't want to misquote it. Percentage of population. It was this tiny percent. It was like 7% or even like 4%, and maybe it was like 8% or something like that, or encompass the entirety of the LGBTQ, like all of them. It's not just like 8% are gay. Like within that 8% are all the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, all of those. Like all together they make up a relatively tiny portion of it. So you can safely say, objectively and logically, that normal, quote unquote, not in like a belittling to other people way, but just in using the term as it is factually, like as it factually exists. The word normal just means like what the vast majority is.
Yep.
Normally speaking, most people are either male or female, and they're straight. And so having separation of sports and separation of showering and restroom facilities, all those things have existed for as long as they have, for a good reason. And if there's people who are kind of feeling different than all that, or separate, give them in a separate place so they don't have to. They're not, you don't force a biological woman who identifies as a man, or vice versa, to be in a bathroom they're uncomfortable with. Either give them a third place, or just do what probably should have been done a long time ago. It's like all bathrooms should just be like separate, like rooms. Like it takes it can't be something that can be retroactively done easily, because huge amounts of infrastructure are measured down to the inch on what's allocated to which thing. But moving forward and giving like honest effort toward just separate things. It's almost like those family bathrooms. Those are great. Like when we would go swimming and stuff, instead of like me going with my son and my ex going in with our girl, you know, like into their bathroom, and me and my son into the other bathroom. It's like we could all just go into the family bathroom, which had a couple stalls in it, and we could help, you know, as the parents, we could help the kids like get changed, and we're not subjecting our children to being seen by random stranger. You know what I mean? It's a better solution, and so I think that as an example could be a very good solution to this whole problem. Is like, you know, let transgender, like biological males who identify as female, let them compete with one another, because they're still on equal playing fields. You can call them, you can say it's like females competing, like you can call it a female sport, but because they're biologically male, they're still on equal ground competing against each other, because neither one of them has a biological advantage over the other. So it's like, and it doesn't, that's the thing, is it doesn't go the other way. I don't think there are any biological women who are intentionally competing in male sports. I mean, I'm sure there are some, but it's so small you don't even hear about it, because they don't have a biological advantage. Like, there's no situation where a biological female is going to have an inherent advantage over a biological male competing in the same sport. Like, so they're not moving that direction on purpose. You know, and like a little bit off topic, when my brother got accused of that, like, you know, for reasons entirely unrelated to anything to do with school, let alone sports within a school. My parents moved when he was either a junior or a senior, and the school that he finished playing football in was a smaller school. So he was put through a much more like high heat refining fire, so to speak, in the bigger school with more competition than the other kids at the other school had been put through. And so when he went in and competed, he was just on a whole nother level. I mean, there's videos of him running with like multiple kids hanging off of him, and he's just like, you know, slow stepping 5-10 more yards until they finally trip him. You know what I mean? It's just like, they just don't compete on the same level of ferocity. Like the other day, you know, this is also kind of off topic, but it's totally like a good example, because like my youngest brother, he's developmentally delayed because his biological mother, we adopted him. His biological mother drank and smoked and did like drugs while she was pregnant with him, and it slowed him down developmentally speaking. Physically, he's probably very close to as strong as I am. But we were moving hay the other day, and I went 3 or 4 times longer before getting tired out, because I just, you know, I was just given that, you know, they call it dig deep in sports, you know, and he doesn't like get it, because he doesn't, just different for him. It's like, it's something he doesn't understand. And it's the same with like my brother. Those kids just didn't learn how, because there was no need for finding that same level of dig deep that he had learned. You know, so like I said, slightly an off-topic like example, but one that kind of relates is, you know, that's what happens. You take a biological female and a biological male, and 98% of the time, the biological male, you know, in that high-level competitive environment, is going to have a massive advantage over the biological female. Like, with rare exception. I mean, some of the more politicized examples where they took a pro, like, top, like, you can't get any higher in terms of, like, professionalism on the women's sport team, and a team of high school boys beat them. In soccer, I think it was. It was like, it was a very good example of the differences.
I think something happened like that in basketball, too.
Oh, I'm sure it's happening in a bunch of sports.
All right.
Well, not to get us all derailed, but we can queue if we want.
Yeah. That's what I was about to say. I'm gonna go take a piss. I'm gonna smoke. I'll be back within 5 minutes, probably less, and we can get started.
Right. What, like an hour?
We should do
Just
some
dude
shit like
just
this
chatting.
For stream. I feel
I
like we
know,
could
seriously, we could do.
talk about shit like this for.
I don't know if you were in
hours.
chat. I don't know if you were in chat when Baron mentioned it, but he was like, "Yeah, me and Vertigo and Seven and Austin and just with whoever is viewing the stream, like we could all just do like a, just chatting, like just chill, even if not necessarily like specifically for the stream or even the entirety of the stream, but just like maybe a little bit before we get into it and a little bit after, kind of to lead off and cap on, or lead on and cap off the stream.
I
But,
think.
yeah, anyway.
Me, you. I don't talk to Steve as much as Chris. I don't talk to him too often. So I'm not sure how his views differ from Chris's, but I do.
They're
know,
very
like,
similar
for
from what I gleaned.
Yeah, I think that possibly you and I are more similar politically than like we are to them, and that's not a bad thing or anything. But
Right.
I mentioned that like gender dysphoria thing with Chris, and Chris is one of those. He's someone that believes. I think he's for women being able to compete in men's sports. And
I know
a
for
lot of
sure
his-
Baron is. He said something on Facebook about it. I saw his post about something along those lines.
Yeah,
Um,
and he was the Chris basically said he's like, I know a lot of women that could beat my ass, but like at the top level, I'm sure there's some women that could beat some dude's ass, but like at the top level, at a professional level, you got a professional male and a professional female. A female
Yep.
doesn't stand much of a chance at all.
Well, those are
Okay.
the people who push themselves to limit, and biologically, the men start much higher up that ladder, and the ladder is far taller for men in terms of like what they can obtain. Women start lower and they're capped lower because of just biological developments over an evolutionary period of how females and males are different. What's good about both of them, though, I know for sure Vertigo, and I'm fairly certain, even with Baron, is they are the type to be able to still kind of joke about it, because it's funny you said that he kind of got like, I don't want to say upset or offended. I'm not trying to like portray him in a certain way or put words in his mouth, but for sake of the conversation, when he got upset with like the gender dysphoria term, there have been times where he and I have been joking around, and he said something about, he's like, yeah, get them dysphorians in here. So
Yeah.
like he's capable of understanding the humor in something, even if he doesn't necessarily politically agree with it on like a logical, objective level. He can still, laugh at the humor in it.
Yeah, I think the four of us, I think we could have some good conversation just because of the differing views that we all have. Otherwise, it's not going to be much of a conversation if everybody just agrees with everything. Well, I mean, a conversation, yes, but not a debate.
It's an echo chamber, is what it ends up
Yeah.
becoming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be fun. I'm gonna go ahead and go take a piss and smoke, and we can play some Minion Masters.
Yeah, no worries. I'm gonna be AFK for a minute as well. Grab a drink and everything, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
And back.
All right, back.
Oh, welcome back.
Thank you.
Oh, nice. I don't even. He's another one who I don't just patently agree with or disagree with all the time. But one thing I really appreciate is that he's smart and articulate, and from an objective perspective, he's not wrong in the sense of like he's just like stupid and like just like, you know, in the way that like you have to wonder about the mental state of people who genuinely believe the world is flat. Like, you know, not in
Right.
that sense,
For certain
but
things.
but Asmongold, you know, I have found the more I've watched, like the more of his like reacting to other people's like videos and giving his own commentary,
Yep. Yep.
like the more I've found that I like watching that. And I found his video of him reacting. It's a 3-hour video of him reacting to Andrew Tate and Piers Morgan's debate thing. So it's funny. Like I like watching that kind of stuff just because it's like, you know, he's funny, and he's another one like I find really appealing as a personal trait in anyone I meet. People who aren't afraid to like speak their mind. Like if they're capable of simultaneously being like, but that's just me, you know, and I'm not gonna like be an asshole to people who disagree with me just because they disagree with me. I'm not like gonna get into like a tribalistic like fight about it. I'm ready, by the way. Already up. You know, he's like, you know, I'm not gonna get into like a stupid argument about it. You know, I can still be vehemently and I can't remember exactly how he worded it or what topic it was about exactly, but that was one of the videos that I watched of his. He said something. He's like, I have made videos where I was so sure of something. I was so right. I just knew it. And find out I'm wrong. And he's like, you live, you learn. So, he's unapologetically like him.
Dude,
But he's also
that-
like not so stupid that he's like, oh, I don't care what, I don't care if it's light outside. The sun is down. I don't care what anybody says. The sun's not up, even though it's like burning my retinas. You know what I mean? Like, he's not stupid in that way. So he's smart enough, even though he's unapologetic. And that's what I love about Andrew Tate and both Asmongold, even though like they're different in so many ways. Like, that's a common thing that I like about what I've seen of both of them.
How much of that video did you watch? That's the interview I was talking about where they were both like.
Yeah,
I think
that's why it caught my eye.
Yeah, dude. Have you seen it or no?
No, I literally just came up on like my my YouTube feed, so I hit I clicked on it to like start watching it, so that way it'll show up in like my video history library to watch later.
If you want to
But,
pull that shit up sometime, I'd be down. I know you probably can't while you're streaming, or at least the visual part. But
yeah, I'll have to
I'm
look
not all the way through it. But
Whatever the cost,
I'll have to look into how that
emperor
works,
cannot
because I mean he'll play entire videos of other people's, and I take anytime he does that with a spoonful of salt, because he may just be being held to entirely different rules than the rest of us just because of how big his channel is. Or maybe he's being as demonetized as anyone else who did the same thing, but it doesn't matter to him because one video being demonetized, is nothing for him. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, Asmongold, I think he's very intelligent. Like, a lot of people think he's stupid and all that, but that's just because they see the little clips that go viral of him like raging or something.
right?
Like, that's the only reason. Like, he's actually well thought out. He's very passionate about his point of views, but if he's given evidence that shows otherwise, he'll consider it, and I've seen him change his mind completely.
One thing I learned about him is that he used to be like not just a peon, but like somebody like with some fair amount of acumen and understanding at the IRS. So like he's not just some basement dwelling, never gone to college schlub, and not that that's the metric. Like, there's so many people who went to college who are fucking morons.
Oh yeah.
But just the fact that like he has some experience and some education, and that was surprising for me to learn, because like most people who learn of him is usually, like you said, in the like kind of bombastic, dramatic, reactionary setting of like some clip either taken out of context, or not even taken out of context, but without said context, that equates, affects the same outcome.
Yep. Yeah. I love watching his reaction videos because it's more than him, which I enjoy. Honestly, I enjoy his personality and him like raging and shit too. But
Yeah.
knowing that he's not just some fucking raging idiot is nice.
Yep.
Hold the line.
And I'm just gonna succubus bitch. I've got a shield totem if you get to our turret.
Nah.
Oh, he's gonna take it. I got my divine warrior up in just a second. Hit me. I love this little drone that spawns with a shield like almost all the time. So
Yeah.
good. Alright, using my shield.
Overkill.
How about it? I'm done.
Empire sends its regards.
That spell is so good.
I know. Are you talking about the arcane thing?
Yeah, it like just hits so many things for a pretty good amount of damage.
Yeah, and it gets stronger every time. So I use it off cooldown.
Nice.
Costs the same, just gets stronger and stronger. Because at the beginning it's not very strong. It's only like 1 or 2 barrages, but it gets to like 8 barrages. If he summons a big minion, I can possess it. I don't even see this bitch. That bitch. We'll try this spell because I never do.
Oh shit! I remember that one.
Taking Mega. Once he's our side, I can possess him. If he survives, let him get across the big one.
Okay.
I don't know how this works exactly, so I might be throwing. Oh no, it's an act. I thought it was a spell. Get him! Did he do it?
No.
Oh,
No, it takes him a hot minute.
fuck. I didn't
Okay,
know.
now I know. I wasn't sure what you were doing, but now that I know, I'll call out a taunt minion or something, and when you do that, that way it takes the fire off of him.
Yeah, I've never used that. It was because this snake gets like free spells sometimes. Random.
Right.
I've gotten some fucking ridiculous ones too. It's so funny when it happens. It doesn't rely on it, but when it happens,
That little spinny mace minion with some air support can be very effective.
I like to throw them out with my little falcon drone or whatever the fuck it is.
Right.
I can try to get this guy. You have taunt already? Actually, you'll be smacking him. I wonder if he heals if I take control of him. Nice. I'm slow to die. Poke that guy. Oh, I should have hit the fucking dude. Damn it. No, that was a waste. Oh, well, we're not gonna need it anyway.
We're about. Oh, they might have just hit mana frenzy. Hold these fucking towers at all costs. Holy shit! It's neck and neck.
Oh, they got me in the first.
We got it at the same time they did. Oh shit! I put the tower on the wrong side. If we're holding the one that we have the tower on, we'll be getting way more mana. Like if we both held a tower. Or a bridge, but I had my tower on the bridge we held, we'd still come out on top in terms of mana production. And if I get to the point where I've called out enough cards that I get 2 towers, it's like just no contest or down. Rectum.
Damn, I didn't expect that to go that long. He hung in there with low health for a while.
I did. Almost 7 minutes.
That cheekily push.
Like 5 minutes and up at this rank is a pretty long match.
Dude, I saw someone on Reddit that had a 14-minute match.
Oh, wow. Maybe it kind of goes through like a weird curve then, because it seems like the matches get shorter and shorter the higher you go, but then maybe once they get hyper competitive, maybe they start getting longer.
Those guys at the top probably know the exact counters for each type of card as well, so it's probably just
To admit
whoever
defeat
plays the
is to
game
turn from the
perfectly.
light.
I wouldn't be
Whoever
surprised
makes
if
less
they
mistakes.
don't. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't even part of their like pre-match is getting kind of guessing who they might go against based on what level they're at and who they see frequently, and guessing what cards they might have, and knowing they probably have multiple decks and being like, kind of almost playing like 4D chess, be like, all right, they're gonna think I'm using this, so I'm gonna, and then because of that, they'll react with this. Maybe they'll anticipate my reaction and go, you know what I mean? Like, even going down to being like, which cards could be a better counter for a given enemy's deck. I remember kind of just ever so slightly dipping my toe into that level of like min-maxing with like Hearthstone, but I was never quite on that level.
Hate that fucking thing. I got that on scrap deck.
It's such a cheese thing because it just doesn't require any like effort almost. It just exists as a thing that pesters. Oh, wreck him.
Fucking sucks. Free card I just got.
Oh, you got something that gives you a free card or whatever?
Creatures ever
That's my
first.
master. Also weird. We got the masters. Oh, I didn't see you prancing up in here. I got Divine Warrior up in just a second.
For the Empire.
Wow, that shock disrupted his shield going off. That's some bullshit.
Oh, it's a big boy. I got a Divine Warrior in my
He's
hand.
still gonna maybe hit.
Oh, I also have
Oh,
Mountain Shaper. I'm gonna save him for Mountain Shaper to do damage to it and knock him back. The big boy.
Yes.
It'll go across the entire map, actually.
Overkill.
Also have a shield totem. I'm gonna use a... No, I'm not. I thought that was attacking our things. Oh, I'm back. What was that? How is this card? Mountain Shaper. We use on this guy. And that guy. Jesus.
Stand strong. Back to the shadows.
Jesus. Oh, this is our chance.
Mana Frenzy.
Keep the bridge.
Do only what must be done.
Hold the door.
Fear not. The light shines on you.
Woo. That was
Mana frenzy. Yeah, that's why it doesn't always make the difference, but often enough I have kept that tower card that gives us extra mana when we gain XP. Because unless they either changed it or I'm wrong, assuming that I'm correct, you get 1 XP for each bridge, but then that tower gives you an extra XP. So in a situation where we have 1 bridge and a tower, we're still gaining 2 while they only get 1. So as long as they're not like overrunning us in that other lane, there's been times where like my friend and I's strategy would be to just hold them off on that other lane, but focus our attentions on the 1 lane with the tower up. And usually by the time the tower just times out, as long as it's not getting hit on and take damage, I can put down another one. So we can pretty much just constantly hold a given lane. And, you know, if it's looking a little bit tough, a little tight, we can at least rely on outlasting them till we hit Mana Frenzy, you know, even if it's like we just can't manage to break through them, but we can hold them off. So if ever we're kind of getting sent on the ropes, we can try to just guard the tower lane. Like, hold the line.
Dude,
Hold.
the card I kept getting was a wrecked walker. It just has 150 health. It doesn't. If you have a certain amount of tech, you can summon it with those little gnat drones that fly and protect it. But it doesn't have any damage. It's got a gun, but it doesn't have any damage.
This is Minion Masters.
It was just walking into everything. I was confused as I looked at the card. It's not. I should have put that on the other side.
I am ready.
I love that little drone. Go after that thing. No. Kill it. You son of a bitch.
Your end draws closer.
I hate those things. I got a living statue for 3. Pretty neat.
Nice. Is that one of your cards that gives you that cheap or something?
It was one of those random cards I could get that was free, or yeah, it just comes in the deck. It could be any like card that's 4 of it, and it reduces the cost by 1. I want stint. God damn it. It's not wrong. Ah, oh damn.
Thus, the shadows seem far less intense.
Damn, I was going
Overkill.
Sneepy.
Back to the shadows.
Lock him up. Did you just say GG?
Yeah.
Damn. Got his ass.
Well, you got at least one spell that can finish him off, I assume, right?
So that doesn't go. Actually, I may have been able to use that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it does tower damage. I guess one of these times we'll have to find out.
Yeah. It does though. Crossbow dudes. Oh, I got a spell now. Oops.
Good game.
Later. Sniper might fuck things up.
Ah,
Your end draws
30 away.
closer.
How's this? Frost Bearer. See, Should have read that. What the hell's he doing? Slows things down?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at him. He's freezing that shit, dude.
Oh, nice.
That was a good pull.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. That's so
It's like
cool.
a mini card game within the card game. You're like, ah, look what I just drew.
Imperial
Yeah.
Steel.
It's cool. That's the one thing I like about this snake, dude. Did you put that down or did I? No.
Which one?
I thought I'm right.
Oh, I didn't. You must have. I don't.
Dude, that
maybe
must have been my
I
random
don't.
card. I thought it was something else. That's a
Oh.
fucking good pull too. I fucked it up because I thought it was something else. But he healed. I got
Yeah.
another one.
Oh, it's that. It's that bitch. She can pull
He
health
just
from.
freezes in the area when he spawns, and then he continually
Overkill.
freezes.
I feel bolstered already.
Oh my god, he didn't get a shot on.
Imperial
I hate the
Steel.
Annihilator. Oh god. Ooh, I got one of these now.
Nice. Fire with fire, baby.
I got Durgan.
Oh no.
I can freeze him. Got another Frostbear. It's OP. Durgan
Hell yeah.
freeze. Gator don't play no shit.
About to hit Mana Frenzy.
Yeah. You had to get control somehow. Ace of one. Alright. Our Brothers of Light for 8 mana is a huge card, not cost card at the beginning of there.
They're gonna hit it behind us.
Whoa.
Gotta get that bridge, or we're not gonna get any use out of our Mana Frenzy. Oh wow!
Oh, damn.
How did they
Bruh.
get us?
I don't know, they must have sniped us with
They had
something.
30 health. That was such a lucky fucking comeback.
Oh man, if they didn't have that spell, I'm pretty sure we would have won that push.
Yep. Oh man, lucky clowns.
Ready to fight for rightness.
Dude, that card. I think it's so good.
War, famine, the
I wanna
destruction of the
build a
world
deck
itself.
That consists
My
of
aim is
nothing but
shockingly
things,
good.
not nothing, but I need some things to block them, but like, I'd go with like thorns and that wall creature or whatever, but things that just target their main base, like Living Statue, the Zeppelin, there's another card that I was thinking of. The hell is that? I want that one, that Prowler that jumps for double damage and gets Berserk and Rage. God, that thing chunks bases. What the fuck, dude? You have 129,000 gold?
Yeah.
How?
I just save it. I just never spend it.
That's absolutely
Hide
insane.
in your shadows, void scum.
Dude,
I
the only thing
will
that's been
find
gold really
you.
are packs. Just rip some packs. Make a YouTube video out of it. Big old pack opening.
Right? I might have to do that actually. I haven't saved it for any specific reason. I'm just the type that if I don't need something, I save it. So if there's ever a day where I decide I want a card and I want to like open a bunch of packs to either chance upon it or get enough gems to craft it, I might very well make a video about it and be like, all right, we're trying to get this card.
Yeah,
Come watch the spins.
The only thing to spend gold on really are packs. You get some deals in the shop, but like packs is it.
Yeah. He got the one. I do that with like fireball and shit all the time. I'm like, ah, shit.
Imperial
Same from the non-warrior. Oh my god, he chunked him. I tried. Oh damn. Oops. What the hell? I didn't see him back there.
He teleported back there.
You can't hide from the light. Hold the light.
Damn.
Wham. Wham.
It was just hard to keep up with them the entire time.
The bow dude can do that. He can cause that stress, that's for sure.
Dude, remember that Asarg, that weird looking alien dude that I needed for that one card for the deck? Is that alien?
Oh yeah,
he's in
yeah.
the shop. He's in the shop for me now.
Oh nice. Is he
Those
expensive as shit?
bitches. Yeah. It's 39.50 rubies. I don't know what that is. How much is that? That's so $19. Such a weird amount. Gives you
Shit.
33.50.
Weird. Speaking of rubies, though, I got enough from something I did the other day. If we're still playing this regularly when the season pass restarts, I could just buy it with free rubies.
Nice. I ended up buying mine just because right now I'm about to hit 34 in it. And I got the adventure. You get all the chapter 1 adventures for $7.50, which is like
Oh, hell yeah.
$5. And you get a lot of rewards from that, including I think you get 4 battle pass tiers off of different ones, so it'll shoot me up.
Nice.
Oh
yeah.
I'm gonna try this deck. It's very similar, but it uses Jolo.
Jolo.
The hero scrap, dude. That might be my favorite card just because of the fucking name. It's got such a good name. Oh, true damage just means it ignores any protection such as shield, divine shield, and frozen. What? Oh, this uses the necromancer bits instead.
Let's duel!
We do what we must.
Oh, it's not good move. Joe's gonna come in and wreck everything now. Got a full hand of scrats, which means he gets haste. Joe doesn't give a damn. There he goes.
Out of the way.
Thought that would do damage to the flying guys.
What was that little fairy dust?
Something's breath.
Tit breath.
Yep. Got a whirly boy.
You can't hide from the light.
Roll out the big gun.
The chapter needs you. The shadows fade as I become stronger.
Dude, I got a couple of candles, pumpkin waffles. Fucking smells so good.
That sounds really good, actually.
Keep fighting.
And thus the shadows seem far less intense.
Sure does. Not very much.
Roll out the big gun.
I got a dragon. Woo. That'll do. That'll do.
Watch out.
Light be with you.
Blue as mana frenzy.
I just gotta get a tower or a lane with mana frenzy, or it doesn't matter.
This.
I'll turn tables.
Go forth.
Giggity.
That might be trickier for yes.
Duel.
I am ready.
Fuck you all monkeys.
Fear not, the light shines on you.
I'm out, Shaper. Let me just choose them in a second.
The
Who
light
got the second
strengthens.
perk?
Little dude chase them. Clear the fuck back to there. So what's it do on to friendly units? Anything?
What is it?
Does it do anything to friendly units, like heal them or anything? Yeah. That just damage enemies. I wonder, can you double up the beam and have him like hit it twice in the same spot?
Yeah, I can.
Who gained the third perk?
It's weird with the placement though, with the one ability. It's like the only way I can pair it up is in the very middle. Got the dragon.
Noise.
Light be with you. The Empire sends its regards.
I think does so much damage at this rate.
Yeah.
Stand strong.
Always do it on accident. Okay, deck.
What? Oh, the cry one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that a few times too. Look, no, not that one, damn it.
You get a reward.
light is ever present. Sometimes your mind is just clouded.
You ever played Vermintide?
Yeah.
Play that one of these days. I don't know why I keep getting the itch to play that.
I'll play a little bit. I just get bored of it, just killing things, waves of things. There's certain games I can play more like that than others, like Serious Sam. Have you ever played that? It's a pretty old school game, but it's just defeating waves of enemies. And it's a shooter. There's all kinds of different weapons lying around and shit. It's kind of a cartoony graphic, but it's got super cheesy and just funny humor in it. Here's leaderboards and stuff.
Duel!
When the battle calls, I answer.
Jolo, no. Already? The thing is
I will
thick.
never give in. Hold the line.
I love that dude with sword and shield. I thought about doubling up on him, but I don't know what I would drop. He's got a lot of health, and he hits pretty hard, and he attacks pretty quick.
Yeah, he's thick. Stixies.
Ghost. Well, soon to be one.
That's
Well, maybe
fucking
not.
crazy.
That thing doesn't go after him, and the other dude was really low.
Okay, this is pretty strong. Damn, the counter snipe.
I baited him out. Yeah, we didn't take any damage. Kataka is now following. Hopefully I said that right. Welcome. Appreciate you stopping in and giving us a follow. How you doing
What's your
tonight?
names?
I know, I'm so bad at it. I hope no one's ever offended when I butcher the shit out of their name on accident, but I try my best. I try to make sure I'm not missing letters or reading too many or something.
Teachers back in high school used to butcher my last name.
Yeah, they're good at that. I love that skit where he intentionally mispronounce.
Aaron?
Yeah, and then when they say
No.
it's the right way, he's like, "Son of a bitch!"
Do you think this deck or the last deck works better?
My deck is better than yours. Yo deck. I don't know. Honestly, it's hard. I'm not so great at that like whole.
The main difference is the masters. One uses a necromancer, one uses the snake. Other than that, I mean, this one uses Jolo, one uses the swarmers instead, and then one uses Arcane Barrage, and the other uses that Fairy Dust shit. Which I'm gonna read that real quick. Covers 2 large areas with rimfire dealing true damage. Rimfire, ground enemies that stay within rimfire for more than 3 seconds become frozen. Oh. Minions cannot move or attack and takes 50% less damage than healing. Then it ignores all protection. It does 180 damage, 20 master damage.
Master damage.
We'll keep rolling with this one. The dragon is nice. It kind of makes it to where this deck, you know, has a threat towards the end if it goes long.
Right.
Let the fight commence.
The light is my guide. What is yours?
I'm gonna use my breath one. When I get it up.
Oh.
That dude's wild. Freeze!
Yeah, frozen, bitch.
Got Mountain Shaper too. That dude is ridiculous.
Nice.
This is no bueno.
Who just did like half our health in one hit. Man, that was some cheese.
That was hard.
Those
cheese.
kids woke up and thought, responsibilities? Nah, that's too hard. Let's go play Minion Masters with our easy win deck. That's what those little cunts did.
Dude, I just saved up for Colossus.
Freaking and had rage. That's another thing. I've thought about trying to throw rage back in here. Like, there's been situations where literally every single one of these cards, with maybe the exception of the Legionnaires, and not that they're not useful, but like I can think of like specific situations recently where I'm like, oh man, fucking that card did some work. Like those guys did some work. The Legionnaires are just kind of filler. I wonder what mana cost is rage, because they're 5. Rage is the same or less. I might try swapping it out, see how it handles. Oh shit, Rampage is 2. That'll lower my deck cost. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna swap out.
But you try to figure out what, like a deck that kind of complements each other.
Yeah, that's kind of what's tough about it though, is it changes. Like in 4 more rank ups when we hit diamond or whatever, or maybe even sooner. It could be totally different. So it's like, what might? Well, and my friend I have sat and spent like hours doing that too, and then like it's got wrecked like 6 matches in a row, and then we went back to the other deck and we're like, oh shit, we're stomping with this. Maybe we should. So it's so there's so many variables. It's always that's why personally I don't usually change my deck very much, because I'm like, I just need to get better at like honing what I've got, tweaking it a little here and there. From when I started, it's vastly different now, but it was never vastly different in any short period of time. It's always like a relatively long period of time before I shorten her down,
Yeah. honestly don't know how I feel about that Mountain Shaper ability. I mean, it does a lot of damage, but it's also 8 mana cost. A lot of decks in the top 50 use it though. I don't know if that, but like you were saying, they got a different meta.
Yeah.
Back to Snake Bitch. We lose this, so I'm going straight back to the other one.
Yeah. That deck you've got that builds Ascension stacks seems to work pretty well with this one that I have, where I've got extra benefits for when like we're on the ropes, because even if like we're not necessarily able to like super push, we can like hold the bridges and kind of just hold them off for a while, because it comes with a lot of like rush smaller minions that get better and better as you gain stacks too, right? Like smaller complements the fact that my deck's got some bigger guys that cost a little more mana, because you can throw shit out to like hold them off, and then like your deck is like a snowball rolling down the hill effect type of deal.
Let's go.
I am the chosen one.
Fuck. These little dragons are assholes.
The chapter needs you.
Asshole dragon.
You have Rage in that deck now?
Yeah, I swapped out my group of just the 4 legionnaires. I only ever really use them to capture both bridges, kind of in a quicker sense, kind of like you do with the skeletons in the one deck, where if you get them at the right time, you can capture both. That's really the only thing I ever use them for. Otherwise, they're just kind of fodder. I'm thinking if I could enrage my Colossus. Maybe that'll work pretty well. I have both Rage and Colossus. It'll just take a second. If you got something that would be good to Rage, we can call them out together and I'll Rage them all.
Best thing I have right now would be a Divine Warrior. It's not very amazing or anything. Oh yeah.
Ha! Wrecked him. That fucking puss-ass tower. Nice. I was just sick and Stixy on him.
That was
The light strengthens.
you want me to save for Mountain Shaper? don't really have much else.
Give me a second and I can call up my taunt minion at least. Yeah, go ahead and hit him with it. Nice. Perfect. Fucking wrecked him. Oh, come on, make it, damn it. Oh,
There's a
barely.
legendary card with this deck, the Chisma Boomstick. Once it's 8 rockets in a circle, gives self fear after attacking with just stress. Sounds Beast or Dragon.
Lots of rage in this deck. Boom, baby. Where was that fireball going? Oh, we got Mana Frenzy.
Stand strong. Overkill. Stand strong.
We have a winner!
Rectum in the anus.
It's funny, I got a legendary fucking pool. And once I get a pool, it stays in the deck, so I kept getting that 3-cost legendary card.
Oh, I always forget. I think I have to do this in order to get the chatbot to say anything. Maybe not. When the hell did? Why did it come through? I got something configured wrong. Baron earlier was like, "What's up? Your mom's a subsection. We doing Marauders tomorrow?" And, and then I didn't hear anything. It's like, oh, what? I don't know what, because it doesn't always do that. I don't know why the inconsistency. Like sometimes it's comes through fine, and other times not so much.
I'm going with that one deck you were talking about.
The momentum one. Get the old momentum.
It's just I do remember we had a bigger problem with like super rush decks.
Masters, get dueling!
The light is my guide. What, I wonder, is yours?
Damn, you doing it to him?
Giving him the old big dickin'. Big 'em dick 'em. Biggest dickus. Well, this is so far not working out too well.
Survive.
Oh, damn. How'd they flood so many, like, cheese ball fucking cards right off the bat?
Dude, that fucking I have a solo deck that uses that guy on the left that summons those things. They're so strong. They just come out by themselves. They're not even a card.
Well, we need a round 2 on that one because that was some
A deck we could make is something like that where both of them are running cards that just go straight for your base. That could be fun and cheesy. I think we both have most of those cards.
Thanks for tuning in to the Caesar Network. We've got a corker of a fight for you today, here on Minion Masters.
The only true victory for the Void is when the righteous do nothing.
Bye. Shit, they hit hard though. Look, they almost wrecked his ass.
Oh, something I learned on Holy Ground that summons skeletons. It also causes the enemy
Your
flying
end
minions to
draws
lose flying
closer.
and immobilizes them. So, it's a pretty big deal.
Strength through rightness.
Mr. Is that really out of range?
I feel bolstered already. Blue's starting to feel it now.
Go Rage Boys, go.
Your end draws closer.
Bad FPS lag.
Damn.
Miniones.
Duel.
I am the one. And thus, the shadows are far less intense.
Such power.
Dude, goddamn it. Fucking thing went after the wrong thing. He's belly bumping me.
Right.
Please, no!
You are not so different. I too suffer.
The difference is you failed. Cower before me.
Oh fuck, I should have put that in the middle. My bad. Oh, yeah, okay. Stay stuck here.
Shit, I missed Dixie with that. Oh, I barely got him with it.
Hit the fat man!
I shall use this in the fight against the dog.
difference is you failed.
Rectum.
I realized that was just an end.
Put Johnny Hep.
I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
No worries. Welcome back. Nice. Got him. Wow. Rectum. Oh man, they're about to get Mana Frenzy too. Shit. Hold that top bridge. We gotta pick one. Yeah, hold the top one. Both ideally, but. Giggity, giggity. Shrekdom. Oh, that cunt. Fucking fireball a half second before my heal. That was cute. Does that dude fear himself when he launches that? He scares himself. Oh no. Fucking wrecked him. What's this? They just used a fireball to kill him. He's back, bitches. Although they might burn that bridge he's on. Don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah. They use something else on top though. Oh, we got mana frenzy. Hell yeah. Now we just need to actually hold the bridge. They might have got it too, but we have the tower. We'll always have that advantage going for us if they don't have a tower as well. Nice. Yep. That spell is fucking fantastic. Rectum. Yeah, that one lasted a hot minute.
Damn, I got a lot of points for that. 178 points, platinum 4. Very nice.
Very nice.
Oh no.
All right, we're testing this.
What you testing?
Yeah, work.
Minion Masters.
Woo!
It's on.
Oh, just in between matches, or like, you know, even this game's the type of game like my friend and I would watch shit while we're playing this, because I mean you can actually kind of afford to do it. Where you're like, okay, I know what I'm waiting for, I know what I need. Look over for like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and then look back. You know what I mean? Like waiting on what to call out, but just like anytime we had like Mana Frenzy or something where it was just a clear win, I just spam cards, and then in between like match cooldown and load up and all that, I was just it's been like an hour I've been working on that like tiny paragraph. Just I do like a word at a time, or like an emoji at a time or something. Finally got it set up and wanted to test it.
Snipers.
Damn.
This is bad
Back
news
to the
bears.
shadows.
It's Jolo.
Jolo. Might hit him all, damn it. Oh, she almost had that off. She would have got that whole fucking crew of them.
Dude, this fucking, oh my god, this vape I have is like a super dark navy blue. It almost seems black, and it keeps blending into my desk, and I can't see it or find it.
Yeah, you ought to, if you don't already, what I did years ago that has been something like I can't go without it now, is I put a small light behind my desk so it shines on the wall behind the monitor. Just a real low, like it's like a 20-watt LED or some shit, like whatever it is, like, or 20-watt equivalent. It doesn't consume 20 watts, but you know those old bulbs that were like really dim.
Yeah.
Just like a light, low one of those. Good hell, how do they have so many?
I messed that up placement. Yeah,
That
I
was
actually have.
fucking insane.
I have those light bars that you can put on the back of your monitor. It changes according. The color changes according to
On your
what's
screen?
being shown on the screen. But it's just,
Nice.
I usually keep it towards the front of my desk. And it's still kind of dark there.
Oh. Yeah, the one I've got is bright enough to cast enough light like onto like my shirt even, just a real low amount. Keeps my eyes from getting tired from trying to adjust to the darkness around the monitor and the brightness of the monitor.
I
Constantly
think it's where
fighting.
I think it's where mine's right on the back of the monitor, so like the light that's bouncing off me is just directly off the wall.
True.
You're probably gonna hop out of here in about 20 minutes or so. Gotta get ready for work around 9. I'm gonna chill out for a little bit.
Work schmirk.
That's what I'm saying. Oh god, I hope to add on to those fire checks tonight, man. It kind of made it go by faster, but
I'll play
It's fucking
some
annoying.
GTFO again while you're
dude, that first time, dude, it sounded like chains shaking, and I instantly got cold chills and started fucking looking around and shit. Oh my god.
Yeah, that
so
shit's
creepy there.
creepy as fuck. Dude, there was I know what it was, and like you know, it scared me the first time until I like realized what it was. But when I worked security at that juvenile detention facility, and there was buildings that only staff worked in, so like after you know staff went home, there wasn't anybody in it. So it's not like it was a like the cottages where the kids stayed, like that's where they slept at night. It would make sense if you'd hear like noise there because sometimes they get up to go to the bathroom, or maybe the staff watching the kids is doing something. But then, you know, the other buildings that were completely empty, like the school building, the church, and the administration building, and like the gyms slash cafeteria, like all those buildings were empty. And every once in a while you'd hear doors closing. You're the only one there. But happened to fix the HVAC system enough times, not necessarily fix it because I'm not a mechanic, but like using the instructions provided by the mechanics to, you know, basically reset the systems when they would trip. It would coincide exactly with when the air would start coming back on, and so that when the air pressure in the building would change, that would make doors that didn't sit right all the way against the jamb like rattle a little bit. So like the first time it scared the shit out of me because like, who the fuck is here? No one's supposed to be here right now. But then like after 2 or 3 times of hearing the noise immediately after turning the HVAC system on, like as it pressurized the building, I was like, oh, all right, that's what that is. But yeah, that sometimes in those buildings it's creepy as shit.
And thus, the shadows seem far
What's up
less
with going up for, like the last 3 decks we went up against reserve decks? Like straight up
Yeah, it
freaking
kind of seemed. That's why we made our rush decks. When we got to about this level, while we were trying to climb through platinum, that's when we'd run into a lot of decks like this, and that's when we started. That's when we made the rush deck that I was using the other night.
hold the line.
The strategy with that is just trying to like overwhelm, whereas like what we're doing is actually like planning and tactics. So it's like I don't feel terribly bad losing to cheesy decks. It's like okay, what, you know, it's like someone trying to do like a hardcore run like challenge run through of a game, but then turning the difficulty down to easy. It's like. Yeah. All right, you know, you didn't actually accomplish anything with what you just did. Whereas when we win, it's still like an accomplishment against decks like this, because like they had an easier time. They gave themselves like a negative handicap to have an easier time, and we still beat them. So it's like that's when you know you are the superior player.
The light reaches ever further. Why such a hurry?
I mean, considering all that for how little damage we took, not doing too shabby.
Yeah. It's just once Mana Frenzy comes, so we're gonna have control of those roses.
Yep. We'll just have to focus one if we can, and then I'll throw down a tower at that spot. Right? Holy shit.
Stop it.
Go forth.
So I'm gonna punish it right now, please. I got Mountain Shaper. Just throw everything, dude. Just throw everything at us. I want to kill it all in one spell.
I have 3
I
snipers
will
out right
never
now.
give in.
Oh, is one of those your little sniper? Oh, I thought it was another Stixie. I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize there were that many out. They hit us with anything, we're done.
Call it showing off.
Oh, they got Mana Frenzy. Oh, they're overrunning us.
Damn.
Freaking douche. Nullibles.
We should make a double Zerg deck or something. If we're gonna keep playing against this stupid shit.
Yep, that's exactly why we made those rush decks, is for that very reason. It was either rush or Zerg that we faced, so. What we might have to do to climb through platinum. It's like if everyone just was, you know, like courteous on like the highway and nobody cut anybody off, then like everyone would benefit, because it creates phantom intersections when somebody has to slam on their brakes because some douchewaffle cuts him off in traffic. But it just takes one, and so in order to combat shitty drivers and shitty traffic, you kind of have to. It's like if you're not aggressive, then you just constantly get like cut out and cut out and cut out and push back and push back. You know what I mean? So you got to be an asshole or suffer as well. That's how it feels like once you get up to a certain degree. It's like, yeah, we got to play with these douchey, cheesy ass builds like everyone else does.
Yeah.
Or we get beat by them.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on that for next time we play. I'm gonna try to get. I got a pretty like rush Zergy deck, but I'm gonna see. I think it would be juicy if we both got a deck where we had a lot of minions that directly attack their base.
Yeah, just swarm them.
Have that. We'll each have one of those divine protector dudes or whatever. Maybe some of those zeppelins. We could even throw that barrage stupid tower thing in there.
Yeah, just to bypass them and
Yep.
each throw one down if ever we both have them. 2 of those going. Boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom,
it'd be
boom,
nasty.
boom.
Might be able to throw sticks in there. We both have them now.
Yeah, use him for ranged. Use the divine guy, the taunt for the taunt he's got, and then just rush him and have the tower just. Looks like they're getting hit with the snipers and the towers, and
Maybe each of us have a Colossus in there for the extra cheese for
Right.
our one big card.
Colossus with rampage.
Yeah. I think that's a good general idea to build around. That's like half the deck right there.
Yeah,
At least.
we just needed a half a dozen little cheese monsters.
Yep. Alrighty, man. I'm gonna go and hop out of here, but I will. If there's no fire check tonight, then there's a good chance I'll be on. But if there is, that hour goes by so quick. It seems like.
Yeah, it's so hard to get into anything else.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's only doing one thing an hour, really. I mean, other than the shit, regular shit I got to do, which isn't that much, but it seems to make it go. I don't know. It seemed faster last time, just because like how fast each hour came, because I had to on the hour every hour do that stupid thing 8 times or 7 times, but yeah, it would be like an hour would go by, I'd be like, damn, it's already time to do that shit again.
Right.
Alrighty, well, I'll talk to you later, man. Peace.
Right. Don't have too much fun.
I'll try.
Take care, man. Alright, we're gonna hop into some Mortal Online 2. I haven't played this game in a while, but I really had a lot of fun when I played it last. So, I was chatting with some friends in it the other day, or earlier today, some friends that I met when I played this. So, I'll stop this stream and relaunch it as a Mortal Online 2 stream.